Discover the best in local business news with a subscription to the IBJ and Inside Indiana Business. For a limited time, try us out for just $1 a week for 8 weeks. Claim this limited time offer now at ibj.com/trial offer.
This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of Friday, March 6, 2026. I'm Alex Brown. The South Bend Redevelopment Commission has approved nearly $7.8 million for a Colfax Avenue streetscape overhaul and a new pedestrian bridge across the St. Joseph River. Assistant City Engineer Leslie Beek says both projects will create quality of life improvements in the area.
The purpose of the project is to create a safer, more walkable environment that's more inviting to commercial and residential developments in the area. But we are adding additional on-street parking. I think we're gaining over 20 parking spots on street, so that will help with the local businesses.
The streetscape project is slated for completion in October, while the new bridge is expected to be complete in spring 2027. Purdue University has launched a pilot program designed to help more domestic students earn doctoral degrees in STEM areas through an accelerated academic pathway. The Bachelor's to Doctorate in 7 years, or B2D7 program, combines undergraduate and graduate training to shorten the time it takes students to complete a PhD. The Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs has announced 12 community organizations from throughout the state have earned a new or updated Indiana Main Street designation. The program consists of 4 levels, which recognize organizations for their efforts to revitalize their downtowns. You can view the list of designees at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Thanks for listening to this IBJ Media podcast. You're probably going to remember this ad. Do you know why? Podcast advertising works. 85% of listeners recalled hearing an ad during a podcast, and 70% of podcast listeners have acted after hearing an ad. So whether you're looking to be heard across the entire IBJ Media podcast network, sponsor one of our shows, or just start with a 30-second ad, IBJ Media can help. Contact advertise at ibj.com to learn more.
The Indiana Supreme Court has ruled that hospitals and other medical providers cannot be held liable for complications that developed while treating a patient for COVID-19 during the pandemic emergency. IIB's Aubriana Herron has more.
The court held that a trial judge properly dismissed claims brought by the estate of Elmer Wagner and determined that providers who treated him were immune under state and federal status adopted during the pandemic. The justices concluded that courts, not medical review panels, can decide the threshold legal question of immunity. The High Court's order granted summary judgment for the defendants and reversed an Indiana Court of Appeals ruling. The underlying lawsuit was filed by Wagner's wife, who alleged negligence by more than 80 hospitals, doctors, and other providers. Her husband was hospitalized with COVID-19 in early 2022, placed on a ventilator, and medically immobilized. He later developed a severe pressure wound or bed sore that worsened and contributed to his death. Providers argued that Indiana's Healthcare Immunity Act, the Premises Immunity Act, and the Federal Public Readiness and Emergency Preparedness Act shielded them from liability because the treatment occurred during the COVID-19 state disaster emergency. Indiana's Supreme Court agreed, finding the care Wagner received was directly connected to treatment for the virus, and that his estate failed to show any evidence to support finding gross negligence. Aubriana Herron, Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Fort Wayne Medical Oncology and Hematology is furthering its partnership with Cameron Health in Angola to increase access to cancer care in the Steuben County city. The partners say the effort is in response to rising cancer rates and a growing need for oncology services in Angola and across the county. As part of the expansion, Cameron Health's Regional Cancer Center of Angola has undergone renovations, including 5 new exam rooms, 12 infusion bays, an expanded lobby, and a dedicated registration and customer service area. The partners did not disclose the financial investment in the renovations or state whether any new jobs were added as a result. Dr. Philip Lau, a longtime Purdue University researcher and giant in Indiana's life sciences industry, has died at the age of 78. Lau spent his nearly 50-year career developing therapies for the treatment of various diseases, including many cancer-fighting drugs. In a 2022 interview on Inside Indiana Business Television, Lau said he often thought about retirement but wasn't ready to call it quits just yet.
What's even more rewarding, frankly, are the emails that I frequently receive from patients that benefit from these medicines. They acknowledge how much it has helped their health and how happy they are and how it enables them to, be with their families longer and enjoy a better quality of life. So that's extremely rewarding. I would feel it almost negligent of me to retire now and not do what I can do for people that are still suffering from these various, pathologies and maladies.
Lau founded 7 companies based on intellectual property developed at Purdue, including Endocyte, which he sold to Switzerland-based Novartis in 2018 for $2.1 billion. Check out the latest episodes of the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, and entertainment, and beyond. Available now on the IBJ Media app or your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.
The economy and the market are in a hairy place these days. It's up a lot, it's down a lot, it's sideways, and it seems on the hour there's breaking news coming out of all areas of the country. How do you get your head around that? How do you not go crazy in the process? I'm Peter Dunn. You may know me as Pete the Planner, IBJ columnist, and my job for years has been to help you understand your financial life better in context with everything else going on. So, what am I encouraging you to do? Well, listen to the Pete the Planner Show. Yeah, it's a podcast. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts, or simply listen at ibjpodcasts.com.
The IBJ Media Podcast Network is the soundtrack of a growing state. Indiana is on the move, and you can hear it happening on the IBJ Media Podcast Network. We bring you the voices at the center of our economy, our courts, our companies, and our communities. Subscribe now and be part of the conversation that's building Indiana's future. Find all of our shows by searching IBJ Media in your podcast app or visit ibjpodcasts.com.